Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I literally just got to Italy, so it's been a bit of a rush to try and make a few pots today in the studio where I am so thrilled to be teaching this semester. It is actually a 12th century monastery, and we're in the cellar, and it all looks like this stone. I'm outside right now because there's no internet in there and no reception or anything like that. So it's been a little bit of a technical trial to get here. I'm also not great with technology, so please forgive me if it is not the most smooth. Yeah, it's been, again, we've been traveling kind of 10 days straight, and it's really exciting to get into the studio today to make a couple pots. But these are all totally new materials that I have not used for 16 years. I actually did come as a student, but I have not used these in a long time. So you'll notice that this is not exactly what my work looks like, but I'm trying. This is a light blue slip that I've put on, and I did some finger swipes, and I have a practice of making a cup of the day. And it was a thing I started in graduate school just to kind of loosen up and not worry too much about what I was drawing and what it meant or anything like that, because it can be a little bit daunting to draw into clay. You know, it's like it will be there for thousands of years, as I've just seen all over England and Italy. And, you know, that can be daunting to try and put something on there. So I started doing a cup of the day for a month at a time and sort of showing them together. And then now what I do is I make one for the day anytime I'm making a batch, and it'll kind of sometimes relate to what's been happening. Today I've been running up and down mountains. They're not mountains, but for me from the Piedmont, it feels like mountains. So I'll probably start with some hills. I like to put the actual date on there just because it kind of grounds it in a place and time. I think the bells will be an important thing to put on, because that was really funny. I got on and there was this loud bell from the bell tower, which is nice because it feels like I'm somewhere really far away. I don't know if there are any date cups in the batch I sent, but they're kind of silly and fun, and there are a lot of birds flying by this morning. That's kind of why I started doing so many birds. There's something really simple and magical about just watching a bird fly by. And I know then, you know, put a bird on it and all of that stuff is also equally funny, but I still like them and I still am drawn to them. So I draw them. What's the date? The 2nd. we haven't been doing, I haven't started teaching yet. This is not the nicest cup I've ever made, but that's all right. So normally what I would do is have my actual white slip. I would not touch any of those crumbs yet because they'll get all gummed up, but I'll dust them off once they're bone dry. I put them in a bisque, and then I'll stain the lines with like a black copper oxide, and then add some colors and other things. And I end up by spraying a glaze on. I like that it's sort of a finer sheen. And so there's a cup of the day. I have been really enjoying, I don't know if I'll get to show you guys or not, but really been enjoying all the crazy animals on the Etruscan pots that are all around. Tuscany was Etruscan in like 800 BC until the Romans. They kind of incorporated the Etruscans, but there are just some of the most amazing collections of pots around, and the animals are just wild, and I really love them. And so I've always drawn animals, and they've never totally looked like any actual specific animal. And now I feel kind of like, yeah, it's fine. Etruscans did it all the time. So sometimes I like to make the dog go all the way around the cup. And then you get to think about like who gets to see the head of the cup and who gets to see the butt of the cup. Maybe you want to point it at someone you're with. Maybe you want to drink out of it to try and make your day a little more lighthearted. I'm really excited to be in Italy because, as I was saying, these are all new materials. But I am looking forward to trying them. I literally just got here 2 days ago, so I don't know what any of them look like right now. So this is just sort of for the fun of getting going and showing some pots. I thought I would brush some slip on this. I do not have a fancy thing that will show you inside, so I'll do it and then I'll show you. Mosquitoes are getting bad out here. Oops, that didn't work. The white slip I tried to earlier did not really work, so I'm going with the gray. We'll see what happens. It's really amazing to have some time to just play around and experiment and have different clays and slips and glazes available.
And Maria, do you feel like using new materials makes you experiment with your process in general more?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have my stuff, so it's great because it sort of like forces you. So I bought this tool in Rome that I'm really excited about. You guys are going to see the inaugural attempt. It's a striper brush. At least that's what I call it. Pretty cool, right? I have no idea what's going to happen. I should have practiced this, but I didn't have any pots finished, so. There's all these little like labels of things that I have, again, no idea what they'll do. This is not dry, so I guess I'll do it on a cup. Oh, actually, I have a little bowl I'll do it on. This is the white slip that, again, didn't look that great. I think it needs to be sieved and thickened up and stuff, but for the sake of demo. Okay, here we go.
That was exciting.
Just wait. Ta-da. Striper.
I think,
y'all have any questions?
can you do an import business of those brushes, please?
I know. It was a little pricey. It was like 13 euros, but I've never seen anything like it. I was like, I think I really need this thing.
I want to see your line tool too that you were using earlier, your carving tool.
Oh, yes, I'd love to show you. It's a pencil that my son Jonah stuck a hook in, and it's the best tool ever because I hang it on a nail. I always know where it is in my studio. Here, I don't know, no telling. And then when I get rid of the pencil, I just pull the little hook out and stick it in a new one. Highly recommend this. This is not 13 euros, y'all. This is cheap.
That wasn't what I was expecting. I saw the hook on the end and was like, that's a different tool than I know I'm expecting.
Actually, I have a really nice cup of the day I just made with this on it that I almost brought with me, and then I didn't because I had way too much stuff and it's silly. This slip is really not that nice, but I'll still do something on it. I was thinking I wanted to show you guys these slides because they were really, it was like crazy how this Egyptian shard is kind of the fish that I based off of kind of a Thai fish. My mom grew up in Thailand, and we have a lot of stuff from Thailand with a lot of fish. But these Egyptian fish were so similar. It was just really cool. Sometimes I think about fish and coffee not really going that well together, but there was a time I got served fish and coffee and someone told me it was a really great combo. So I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Is this your first time there in Italy?
It's not. I came as a student 16 years ago. And so it's my first time teaching, which is really exciting. As with any demo, these are not the nicest pots, but you guys get the idea. And I got a reason to get moving the studio.
Do you have any specific projects or goals in mind that you're hoping to work on while you're there? Aside, if you have time, aside from teaching?
I think it's just like the freedom to make some pots, and I can't even keep them, which is really freeing after, 14 years of making a living as a potter and making pots to sell and keeping up with deadlines and, having this online sale and then this gallery show and this and the Christmas sale and blah, 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 blah. It's, it's busy and there's always kind of a order to what I'm trying to get done. And then in January, I take a break and I make what I want to make and I love it. And I want to keep doing that. And then it's like, well, but you got to pay the bills. And so keep making. And I like the pots I make for sales. It's just, they're not quite as, I think when they're as numbers I'm trying to make, it ends up changing it a little bit. So, the fact that I think I can take 5 pieces home at the end of 3 months, which is really freeing. So I'm like, great.
I
It's
a lot of pairs in your work of like imagery pairs.
Oh yeah, I wish I could have shown you the slides because I found a lot of good pairs in pots as well from the past week. But yeah, when I found out I was having twins, it was really the craziest day of my whole life. I was teaching the summer class and I didn't know I was getting an ultrasound. We hadn't had an appointment yet. We got there and they're like, well, we could squeeze you in. Do you want to come in? I was like, okay. And they kept asking us if we had twins in the family or multiples, like over and over. And I kept saying no. And then finally the ultrasound, she's like, well, you do now. And it was like the biggest shock of my life. And I came into school and I made a cup with these little double animals on it. And so I got that on my arm because that was one of the most meaningful cups I have made in the past. But I love I love how things like mirror and are symmetrical, but not perfectly symmetrical. And just sort of that freehanding, you're never going to end up perfect. And I like it much better that way. Any questions? Oh yeah, there's some twins on a bicycle. Is that an old one?
That would be like, the 3 or 4 APFs ago or however many it was.
we used to have chickens and they would always jump on everything and it was so funny. And so one time they were sitting on my bicycle, and then once I drew a chicken on the bicycle, it was like the whole world opened up to what could be riding a bicycle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. Lynn asks, what are you going to be teaching?
I am teaching a throwing class and also of just beginning and intermediate, sort of more overview to ceramics. And I have 9 students in each one. We only have 6 wheels. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. It's kind of a small program, and we've gotten to know everyone over the past couple of weeks that we've been traveling, and everyone I think is up for a adventure.
Are they all Athens students in Italy?
No, the majority are from UGA, but there's some from St. Lawrence and Furman and I don't know, a few other schools. Any more questions? You guys probably want to see this thing again because it's amazing. How are my kids liking Italy? They're not here yet. They're coming next week. We skipped the heavy travel days with the 10-year-olds because it felt really stressful. And I think it was the right call. So yeah, they'll be coming next week. They're excited. I'm really excited to see them. And I think their Cortona is going to be perfect for them running around. And yeah.
Yeah, since you were, raised maybe a few places that were not rural Minnesota where I was raised, are you really excited to have your kids,
I am. It's been something that felt really important to me with having kids, is having them be other places and learn that America is not the only way that it is, and I think when you get to see that young, it's really special because you accept a lot more when you're young, and so I feel like, yeah, I wish we could all be everywhere, and sort of it just sort of, I think, helps perspective.
Absolutely. I love that. I know I interrupted Josh, or we started asking a question at the same time. Did you have something?
I was just going to say, it's a lot cheaper to ship pots from Italy to Denmark than it is from Italy to the States. So
You want some pots?
I would love some pots.
All right.
Yeah.
How about, yeah, I guess probably from Denmark to the States is also expensive.
Yeah. I mean, it isn't too bad, but certainly more expensive than shipping inside the States. So yeah.
I'm sorry my little slide thing didn't work. I worked on it a lot of the day when I wasn't trying to hustle out some pottery, but I will at some point maybe get stuff. I don't know, maybe I can share it with you guys later or something. There's some really amazing pieces that I've seen. I'm just so excited to work, and again, not really have any confining deadlines. Made a bunch of pots for my holiday sale before I left, and they're there bisqued and waiting for me to come home after Thanksgiving. So I just get
to get shipped.
Will you have other travel trips planned while you're there in Italy with the students?
Yeah, it's a cool program. It's like a condensed semester because they go on a lot of travel trips that are part of the class time, basically. So we go to Venice and we end in Naples and see Pompeii and Florence and a couple other spots as well. So yeah, the boys are going to come on that. I'm really excited to show them Pompeii and Venice. And
yeah.
That's awesome. So, oh gosh.
Yeah, I show dipping one more bowl I made.
Sweet. We did have a question about where are you staying in Cortona?
I am on, I bet that's from Lynn, who also went as a student. I'm on Via Maffei. It's kind of halfway up the hill, halfway down. And it's got the most incredible view I've ever seen in my life from the window. And it's, I mean, it's just really glorious. So I'm going for it with the gray slip because that white slip just is really weird. I'll have to make some more white slip. But the finger swipes also don't show up as much, but it is cool to watch. And I started doing those when I was Sunggu's student who's in the show. It's a Korean technique that they would use on like fermentation jars, and the pattern they did with their fingers would illustrate what was inside. And so you'd have all these jars together, and this type of finger swipe would tell you what kind of pickle was in there. But I think that's really cool. I also like starting you don't have a blank slate when you do that. And so it's kind of easier to jump in and draw something on there, because finger swipes are finger painting, right? We've been doing that forever, and it is easy to just kind of shut your mind off and do that. And then when you're looking at that, it's easier to start drawing from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just giving yourself slight rules, right? Or slight
Yeah,
to set the stage.
slight rules about trying to not have my hair fall down in the middle of I look a little crazy. Been running up and down mountains, y'all.
That's really fun. Oh, I'm very jealous. You're not the only person I know this year who's been to Italy this year. It's like
Yes.
everyone.
Yeah, after the pandemic, it seems like everyone's kind of getting out.
Go.
Yeah.
So I'll find a time, a way in a time. When you're done, you should definitely post these demo pieces somewhere so we can see what the finish colors are. 'Cause I agree.
I
I'm
think
like,
they're probably gonna look awful, but maybe.
hey,
You
it's
never know.
testing time, right?
Clay color is pretty. I know that.
Thank you, Maria. Have so much fun.
Ciao.